Welcome back to another episode of Battlebots Fight Night Predictions. I'm Phil from Team Cerberus, and I just realized that I think my actual microphone that's here in every single shot in every one of these videos hasn't actually been enabled for like the last 5, which is why the audio is sucked. But anyway, hopefully it sounds better this time. And we are on the last week of the regular tournament. After this week, we are going into the round of 32, into the brackets, and yeah, I don't want to see this season come to an end, but obviously it has to at some point. And yeah, it's going to be a blowout here at the end, I think. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into the brackets here. First up, we have a hell of an opening fight. We have Hydra versus Uppercut. So, after Hydra's last appearance, I want to see Uppercut rip it to shreds. I want to see nothing left of this bot by the time we're done. I know there's plenty of arguments to be made. They're playing within the rules, all that. I'm not going to get into it here because there's been enough rehashing of it. But I personally didn't think that was the way that the game should be played, if anything else. And I want to see Uppercut get some vengeance for a huge here. I'm sure Hydra will be coming up with something to try to keep Uppercut away. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to just go with Uppercut here. Up next, the saddest fight of the night. Poor Rusty going up against Sawblaze. Now, as I'm recording this, I just saw Jameson posted, or I think it was Jameson, it might have just been the Sawblaze account, so who knows who's running it. But anyway, that they are going with their diamond tip saw up against Rusty because it is a steel robot, which is a little sad to me. I was kind of hoping that maybe, it's Rusty. He's probably not going to hurt you all that bad. So maybe go and get one of those like squeaky carnival mallets and put that on the end of the arm and just, gently bop him on the head. You'll still win. You'll push him around the ring and, land some non-threatening hits to him. But poor little guy. It's like watching the puppy get beat. But Sawblaze is going to win this one unless something really stupid happens. Next up, we have Tantrum versus Gamma 9. Two robots that are kind of very middle of the pack right now. They haven't really done a whole lot to put them, I think, in the contention for the round of 32. So this is just kind of a fight, I guess. I'm going to give this one to Tantrum. I've liked the new design this year. I think it works a lot better than the previous designs have. Gamma 9, we didn't really get to see a whole lot of it in that Chomp fight or what it was capable of because it wasn't fighting a bot that it's really designed to fight. But I think Tantrum's going to have a good advantage here, being able to get under them, make some sparks, maybe shoot some flames and stuff, and put on a good show. Next up, we have Hypershock versus Endgame. This is going to be interesting. I honestly think Endgame is going to win this one by knockout. We could have maybe not exactly a recreation of that Bite Force versus Hypershock fight, because I'm sure Will's not going to let his batteries fall out this time. But I'm going to call this one for Endgame. I think they have the capability to pretty easily knock out Hypershock. Hypershock, of course, does have speed. They could probably get around to the sides of Endgame, but I think a couple good hits from Endgame is just going to end the game for Hypershock. Another interesting match, we have P1 versus Smee. This is definitely going to be a driver's game. P1 seems like a pretty tiny bot. I don't know if it's going to really have much threat. I mean, Smee hasn't really seemed to be able to get the two weapons to close in on anybody very well yet. Like, there's too much resistance there, so it doesn't really pull them in, I think, maybe the way they wanted it to. So I think it's going to be more of a wedge game and maybe kind of like spinning, trying to hit P1 with the sides. And I kind of think P1's going to be able to outmaneuver Smee here just because of its size. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be a particularly crazy fight. I could be very wrong, obviously, but I think it's going to be a big pushing match for the most part, with P1 coming out on top. Next up, another sad little fight here. This is Beta versus Grabat. Grabat seems like it had a lot of trouble in that Sub-Zero fight, and I think we can kind of expect a recreation of the Rusty Beta fight again, where it's just a bot getting its hammered on its head. And this is a bot that doesn't really even have, I guess Rusty didn't really have a weapon that would have hurt Beta, so I don't know, Beta's probably going to be really precious with that stupid hammer again. I love Beta. Like, Beta in season 2 when it first showed up, like, it was such a cool bot, and now they're just being so precious with it. It drives me up the wall. I get it. I didn't spend any money on that bot. They did. They spent probably a very large amount of money, so I really don't have a place to talk about it, but I just want to see them hit some stuff with a little more abandon than they have been. But I also want to see them hit a bot that's kind of on par destructively with them. You know, that rotator matchup was a good matchup, and obviously that happened after this. I think they said that was the third fight for both robots, but I don't know, it seems kind of odd that the other two fights that Beta got thrown were against bots that weren't really in the same class as it, especially considering they put it on that Bounty Hunters and it's, you know, a legendary bot or whatever. You know, and they gave it a couple new bots that don't have any kind of dangerous weapon. And that's kind of weird to me. And then our main event is Valkyrie versus Whiplash. This one's very hard to call for me, but you know, I'm gonna err on the side of Valkyrie. I think logically Whiplash probably makes more sense. You know, if I was putting money on it, maybe Whiplash would be the safer bet because it has proven itself to be, you know, good up against horizontal spinners. It did decently well against Tombstone, you know, for a while at least. It's a more balanced robot. I just have a feeling that Valkyrie's gonna do well here. Another bot that I've really enjoyed watching, that fight with Rotator was amazing, and even its fight against Tantrum, you know, it did really well up until it stopped doing really well. But I think they could pull out the win here. So yeah, that would be my predictions for the end of the brackets. And then I'm going to switch over here to, I spoke about this last week with my rankings, and these are basically where I'm seeing the robots sitting right now. So the score I was giving out was 3 points for a knockout, 2 points for a unanimous judge's decision, and 1 point for a split judge's decision. And I didn't write it up here, but in the case of a split judge's decision, the losing robot I also gave half a point just because it was split. I felt like they deserved something there. So with that being put into place, the total score ended up with Jackpot at a perfect 9, but with 3 knockouts. Obviously, the quality of its first knockout was less than the other two, but just by this scoring system, that's how it ranked. But I'm actually going to switch over to my projected rankings. I made some predictions of, I didn't pick any split decisions for this episode, but basically I made some like knockout and or judges decision predictions for this episode just to get myself some scorings. So though I put Jackpot and Uppercut at a score of 9 each with 3 knockouts by my speculation here. And then we have Bloodsport, Copperhead, Mad Catter, and Valkyrie all sitting with a score of 8. Obviously, Valkyrie is a speculation here as well. And, you know, basically going down from there. So, end up with a round of 32. And these are in that ranked order up here at the top. So, Jackpot, Uppercut, Bloodsport, Copperhead, Mad Catter, Valkyrie, Beta, Endgame, Fusion, Gigabyte, Hijinks, Ribot, Sawblaze, Scorpios, Slammo, Sub-Zero, Shatter. I am surprised to see Deadlift in here. I didn't really even pay attention to what was in the top, but by this scoring system, they are actually with only 2 fights listed. I believe 2. I don't think they actually gave us a score for that fight that they showed in the last episode, but I think it said it was a judge's decision, so I just gave them 2, assuming it was unanimous, because I feel like they would have said if it was split. But yeah, so they're actually ranked higher than some other bots here. Lockjaw, P1, Perfect Phoenix, Tantrum, Black Dragon, Malice, Rotator, and Witch Doctor. So that got us 26 robots for the round of 32. And then I added in Hydra, Gruff, Tombstone, Kraken, Captain Shredderator, and Huge to fill out the 32. Obviously, some of these bots don't have stellar records. Tombstone had a very rough season. Huge had a very rough season. But I think, you know, I was looking at the list of bots that weren't in this upper ranking here, and these make sense to me in terms of, you know, when they talk about the selection committee, I assume literally they're meaning the producers, the people who, you know, help pay to put this show on, the people who want this to be a good show and be entertaining. And, you know, I think it's worth having Tombstone in there for the excitement it generates. Same with Huge, very exciting bot. Shredderator, while it's been unreliable this season, you know, it has worked better than it has in the past, and I think it could put on a good show. And comparing these to the other robots that were kind of left over, I feel like these were the best of the rest kind of thing. Obviously, some of these, like Kraken, I am a little biased on. I love Kraken. So, you know, that one I feel like, same with Gruff, you know, but I think they've both put on really good showings this year. The record may not show it specifically, but I think they earned a spot in the top 32. So yeah, these are my predictions. A lot of predictions this week, making more speculations on fights than I ever have in any of these before to get these rankings. and we'll see how wrong I am. I think at the end of this episode, we will get our round of 32 brackets. That's why I'm doing this now and speculating on everything else, because I don't think I'll have a chance to go in without being told up until next week or anything. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think for both tonight and the round of 32. And I will see you when the round of 32 starts next week. Later.